Now the experts, the teachers of that subject, may raise a number of questions such that the curriculum specialists in charge of that subject take time to answer. Feel free to present the questions in the chat, in the Q&A, and on our chat on both Zoom and the YouTube channel, where you're connecting to the presentation or to the call, and then you will have that question answered. Now, at this time, allow me engage you with the following subjects. We will have physics presentation first, and then later that will be followed by music, then geography, clothing and textile, and then we'll end with GP. So we will present for but around not more than 30 minutes, and then questions will come in. They will be answered before we move to the next one. Allow me give you the presentation from physics first, and the specialist is ready in Bonaventure Biaruhanga. Over to you, Bonaventure, for the presentation on physics.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you back from the break, and we shall have insights into the assessment of physics. My name is Biaruhanga Bonaventure. I'm the curriculum specialist for physics secondary. To begin with, we need to reflect on some of these questions which we are sharing on the screen. We have to ask ourselves, where do the items in physics come from? When you are going to set items, where do they come from? What would you consider when you are setting these assessment items, for example? And then the other question that we need to ask, in general terms, why do we assess physics? To answer these questions and quite many others, we shall have to look through, think through the issues raised in this session. At times, we sit down and say we are setting items, but we need to consider some of these things. Why are we assessing physics, for example? It's a big issue. Are we assessing it so that children or learners pass it? What is our aim? To answer that, we need to understand that when we are assessing physics, we are evaluating the learner's ability to apply the concepts, the laws, the principles. When we apply these principles and laws, we are trying to provide solutions to real-world challenges. That one, we have to do it through investigation. We have to do it through modeling and making prototypes which we can develop into useful devices. We have to do innovation, and we communicate ideas. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the general aim of assessing physics. Communicating ideas, whether we are doing those very many calculations, derivations, whether we are recording observations, we are communicating ideas. So in general, that is it. So we don't assess physics so that we see that learners have passed, but we see that they are able to apply these concepts in a variety of real world. We learn so that we apply the knowledge in the real world. So having that one in mind, like the manager mentioned in the morning, assessments in the different subjects, and now this time physics in particular, will be guided by 4 constructs. The manager attempted to explain the meaning of a construct, and a construct is about relatedness of concepts and ideas and knowledge. In physics, we have 4 constructs. The first construct is force and motion, which describes the effect of force on the behavior of bodies. whether the bodies are at rest, whether they are moving, whether they are, that is the concept of force and motion. Under that concept, under that construct, sorry, there are a number of topics which are outlined there: measurement and dimensions, statics, linear motion, motion under gravity, work, energy and power, solid friction, fluid mechanics, mechanical properties, circular motion, and gravitation. If you check in the syllabus, you will find out that these topics don't follow in that order. Some of them are found in senior 5, maybe term 1. I think we may be even having one in senior 6, I think gravitation. So we don't teach the construct, but we put the things together because they are related in a way. They deal with force and its effect. Then the second construct is energy. This deals with the forms, types, and the transformations of energy and how they are harnessed in the real world. So topics under that, you have thermometry, heat quantities, transfer of heat, behavior of gases, thermodynamics, reflection of light, refraction of light, optical instruments, simple harmonic, then progressive waves, stationary waves, and sound waves. Those ones deal with energy, its transformations, and related concepts. So that's the second construct. The third construct is charges and fields. Deals with electric fields and magnetic fields and how they interact in different situations and different technologies, as we may be aware. Under that, we have the topics of electrostatics, capacitors, digital electronics, current electricity, magnetism, magnetic field, magnetic effect of electric current, electromagnetic induction, and AC circuits. Once again, that is not the order in which the topics are represented in the syllabus. And lastly, the other construct, which is the smallest, is the particles, which deals with the atomic particles, and the quantum theory, and then the nuclear processes. Only 3 topics. I think for that one, they follow even in that order. Each of these constructs has an assessment objective statement. When the topics are put together, there is a general statement that shows how they are assessed, what the intention of assessing them is. For construct 1, which we said is about force and motion, we want to evaluate the learner's ability, we want to see the learner's ability to assess the learner's ability to evaluate how forces affect bodies at rest, in motion, structures, and this one helps us to make efficient and practical solutions in everyday life related to structures and motion of bodies. The second construct, which we said was about energy. When we are assessing energy in general, we are looking at how energy is transferred and transformed so that we can design devices and systems in everyday life. These ones, like our gas cylinders, like our thermometers, quite many things where we employ energy transformations, our bulbs, electricity, and something of that sort. Assessment objective number 3 deals with the construct of fields, that's electric and magnetic fields, and that is, we want to evaluate how learners can explore how electric and magnetic fields interact in different systems. And we use this understanding. We see whether learners have that understanding and they can use to explain the model and model technologies in which electric and magnetic fields interact and in different systems, electronic and electrical systems. And finally, assessment objective 4, which is about particles. We want to see whether learners can investigate atomic and quantum and nuclear phenomena and use it to explain modern technologies and harness that behavior. So those are the 4 assessment objectives. Each assessment objective is targeted to a particular construct. Having said that, then we have to look at the assessment papers at the end of the day. We have, in the past, ladies and gentlemen, if you remember, we have been having 3 papers for physics at A level, and we are reducing them to 2. So there will be 2 assessment papers at the end of senior 6 at summative level. Paper 1 will be a theory paper containing 4 sections, A, B, C, and D, and each section corresponds to a construct. Section A will assess construct 4. I think I need to remind our viewers, construct 4 is about particles and, it's about particles, and it will be a compulsory section. Section B will assess construct 1, which is force and motion. Section C will assess construct 2, which is energy, while section D will assess construct 3, which is fields. Because of the large size of construct 2, construct 3, and construct 4, which is section B, section C, and section D, each of those constructs will contain 2 items, where item takers will choose 2 optional items, equally weighted. But because we are not assessing, we are not allowing item takers to do 2 items from the same construct. So, section B, 2 items, candidates attempt 1, that is from force and motion, and then section C the same, and section D the same, not repeating the construct. Again, I want to remind our viewers that in each of the sections we have assessment objectives as outlined earlier. Paper 2 will be a practical paper and will contain 2 items which are drawn from any of the constructs in the syllabus but not repeated. So if we get 1 item from construct 1, then another item comes from construct 2. We don't repeat from the same construct. But there are 2 optional items drawn from any constructs or any sections of the syllabus. At this point, I want to remind our viewers, and especially the teachers who are handling the subject, to always emphasize teaching theory and practical alongside each other. One reinforces the other. There is no separate section for practical, no separate syllabus for practical. But to put more emphasis on paper 2, learners are assessed in the practical area in those abilities are indicated on the screen. 1, whether they can plan and select apparatus, whether they can identify variables, whether they can make predictions, whether they can manipulate apparatus and obtain readings, whether they can record appropriately, whether they can analyze the data in different forms, for example, graphical and any other that may be appropriate, whether they can use these presentations to make inferences or conclusions, and whether they can assess the suitability, including trying to control errors and the like. So those are the abilities that learners are assessed in the practical paper, drawn from any of the constructs, but not repeated in the same construct. So, for example, we can have an item in the theory, paper 1, which is assessing construct 4, that is particles, and I wouldn't want us to read, we can read through slowly, but key about that is how do we score the item, and we have only provided part of the score, not the whole of it. Part A only, use the information provided to dispel fears of the student. Now the item, the way it is written, we have not said calculate, we have not said do this, we have not said that. But learners, like the manager had previously mentioned, are supposed to interpret it and make conclusions basing on the information given, maybe using those constants, the formula to use, and any related information. It is not the straightforward nature of items where we say that using this information, calculate this and that, and so forth and so forth. Define, explain, we don't find it there. But we are using provided information and to explain to somebody who has been saying that, you know, I am exposed to this and that, I might lose my sight and so forth. So using that information, how can we say that, okay, you are either at a risk or you are not? And like my manager had said, we have the output, we want to, which is an assessment of the likelihood of danger, and therefore we base on using the formula and making the calculation and making the conclusion to do that. So, how do we distinguish the different levels of achievement? The highest, like we had said earlier, which is level 4, indicates somebody who uses a formula, puts the quantities, defines them, substitutes them, uses the right units, gets the final calculation proper, and then makes a conclusion based on that. That one achieves the highest. Now, somebody might use the formula, but may put quantities and does not define them, although they make the conclusion. So that one achieves less than the highest. Then somebody may also use the formula, put the required substitution, but may not convert to the required SI units, although they have also substituted. That one scores less. And finally, the lowest would be that one who puts probably an incorrect formula or no formula at all. Here, the controversy is that even in the older system, for example, when we were grading F9, somebody would score 0 and they say F9. Somebody scores 4, F9. Somebody scores 20, F9. So this one is the same spirit. So may have some few SI units, or may not conclude, or may conclude without basing. We say that, okay, this person is in danger. The conclusion is there, but it's not based on the scientific calculations. So these are the grades in which, for example, one part of the item would distinguish qualitatively, so that we say that somebody who scores highest and somebody who follows are actually different abilities. So in this case, looking at the other item, this is how we would say that the people who did part A of that item would score differently according to the different abilities. So ladies and gentlemen, it is therefore important that when we are scoring these items, we have to look at the item in detail. We don't have to look at the item and we rush to say, okay, there is nothing here. We have to prepare our scoring guide in detail so that it guides us to score and make proper judgment to these item takers. And then other parts of the item would also be scored in that way, where you define the criteria of who scores highest. If I have to go back to the item, explain to the student what would we want in that explanation, beginning with the introduction, beginning with the key issues that we want to raise, and then how that one reaches either beyond the threshold or does not. And then we go on in a decreasing magnitude from the highest to the lowest, and even part C. So the basis is what we would want in the response. Ladies and gentlemen, then when we go to another item, which is the practical paper, we have a long statement there, and it is talking about loads, how loads are affecting motorcycles and so forth and so forth. And we want to see whether it is actually the nature of the load or not the nature that is affecting the longevity of these motorcycles. And then, as a physics student, they are required to conduct an investigation to explain this to the mechanics that it is either the cause of the load or something different. Now, in that case, this item, we are assuming that you can have all the apparatus that you need. Like the manager had said previously, the basis of assessment depend on the nature of the item. And in this case, this is a practical item, and there are quite many bases. Like we have talked about the abilities of the practical, the abilities that you want in the learners. One is about the relevance or of the aim. Another one is the hypothesis. Another one is the apparatus. Another one is the experimental procedure. Another one is the taking of readings. Another one is the treatment of the readings. So these ones are actually one item, but has so many bases in this case this time. So the issue of having 5 or 4 or whatever depends on the nature of the item. This one will also have errors, how we can control errors, and how we can make the conclusions based on these readings. And I have taken only 2 bases. One is the aim, and then the other one is the hypothesis. So how do we grade the responses of the item takers or the learners? We have those who get the highest. You have a clear and relevant aim, which is linked to the investigation. And then going down, whereby somebody has an aim which has no link to the investigation or even no aim at all. And then when we got the hypothesis, we do the same. Is the hypothesis well stated? Is it clear? Does it give the predictions? Does it give the predictions between the quantities, or it is just stated that in a flat way? And that one distinguishes who scores the highest and who scores following and then up to the lowest. So this is the way we shall deal with physics. I want to repeat, our assessment is to see whether learners can communicate ideas, and they can use physics concepts, and they can carry out investigations, they can do innovations that help us to solve real-world challenges. That's what we have to test among the learners, not testing to see that who has passed or who has failed. Because the very reason why they study physics is to apply these principles in solving real-life challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to me. I will welcome some feedback from your side, and we share.
Behind every curriculum-related document lies the expertise of our print and production unit. The unit operates a state-of-the-art printing press capable of delivering high-quality printing and publishing services. By producing materials in-house, NCDC reduces costs and strengthens institutional sustainability while ensuring timely availability of curriculum resources. We print all curriculum-related materials, including textbooks, readers, and teachers' guides, supporting effective implementation across the education sector. Beyond curriculum materials, the unit also provides commercial printing services to the public, guaranteeing high quality, quick turnaround, and competitive pricing. Our services include posters and banners, flyers and brochures, branded letterheads, stickers and labels, and much more. With precision, efficiency, and professionalism, the print and the production unit brings ideas to life in print. NCDC Journal invites researchers, curriculum specialists, educators, and policymakers to submit scholarly papers for publishing. The journal provides a peer-reviewed platform for high-quality research and critical discourse in curriculum studies, education policy, pedagogy, assessment, innovation, and related fields. We welcome original research articles, policy analysis, case studies, theoretical and conceptual papers, evidence-based classroom innovations. Submissions should contribute to strengthening curriculum development and improving teaching and learning outcomes. All manuscripts undergo a rigorous peer review process to ensure academic quality and relevance. Be part of the conversation shaping Uganda's education landscape. Submit your manuscript and contribute to knowledge that informs policy, practice, and national development.
Members, I want to welcome questions from your side. I have one here. I have seen simple harmonic motion in the construct of energy. Why? First of all, I want to thank you very much for being very attentive. Simple harmonic motion is a bit, I would say a bit controversial. It could lie more into force and motion, or it would lie more into energy. So by considering the learning outcomes, we try to see that there were more learning outcomes leaning into the energy of, into the construct of energy than the construct of maybe force and motion. So the biggest part of it is in energy, not force and motion. Then there is this one here. Yes, I think the guide on the practical ended on a hypothesis. That's very true. I said we were not providing the guide for every basis. Like even in the first item, we didn't provide the guide for every basis. We try to give a sample so that the other ones can be developed in the same way. Yeah, there are quite many other things. The order of physics, music, geography, that one I think is not for me in particular. Maybe move slowly. Yes, how will paper 2 affect paper 1 in grading? Yeah, the same way it would affect like a different construct, which the manager talked about in the morning. Paper 2 will be treated as another construct. If we have 4 constructs, then paper 2 is treated like another construct, like we talked about it in the first presentation. Yes, that one ended with hypothesis. The hypothesis, yes, I said we didn't finish everything. Thank you very much. That was very clear, no questions. Okay, thank you. Isn't physics a physical science and necessarily diluted into essays, descriptions? You may look at it that way, but physical science does not only deal with calculations. At the end of the day, what do we use the physical science for? That's why we have got a question like in the item, make inference, make conclusion. We had data there, so we are going to base on the data to calculate the wavelength and frequency and so forth, and then we conclude that really somebody who is in this area is either safe or not safe. So I don't know that being a physical science means calculating only and deriving and stopping there. We need to go beyond that and see why do we do that. Which construct will be compulsory? Yes, that is construct 4, particles. That one will be compulsory. What should we look for during scoring, or we are supposed to just look at the work and award? No, you define the standards. That's why you have what's called the basis of assessment or basis of evaluation. You define standards. What do we have to have in this response? It's not an issue of subjectivity. It's an issue of defining standards depending on the item. When are we going to have full samples? That one I think was communicated in the morning. I don't know which other one. I don't see why is construct 4, the one which is compulsory. I don't have a particular answer for that one, but because it is small and it has only one item. I hope that's that. About how grading of practical, I said, will be like another construct, the way manager talked about it in the first presentation in the morning. The sharing will continue outside the presentation. Thank you very much once again. As of now, let me stop there. Thank you for your attention.
Welcome to the Nile English course, your guide to mastering English in a fun and practical way. Designed by the National Curriculum Development Center, the Nile English course helps you to build strong skills in reading and understanding, writing with clarity, speaking with confidence, listening carefully and critically. With exciting stories, engaging activities, and real-life examples, learning English becomes interactive and meaningful. Whether you're in class or studying at home, the Nile English course supports your journey to becoming a confident communicator, because strong communication skills open doors in school and in life. The Curriculum Tree magazine shares curriculum reforms, research insights, innovations, and implementation updates across the education sector. Just like a tree with strong roots and growing branches, our curriculum reflects Uganda's values, learning areas, and the competencies we nurture in every learner. Through the Curriculum Tree magazine, teachers, school leaders, policymakers, and partners stay informed, engaged, and connected to the national curriculum development. We invite you to read, contribute, and grow with us.
Okay? Yes, mic 1, 2. We like this. As a musicians, you have to test microphone because you may sing alone on stage. Yes, I take this opportunity to welcome all your viewers. Good evening, all of you. Yes, my name is Nicholas Busobozi, curriculum specialist, performing arts, and we are going to go through just these assessment modalities, overview, not details, but the detailed document, you will get it soon, so that you can go through it and you get whatever is possible there. Now, we are here for assessment guidelines for music at advanced secondary curriculum 2026. Okay, now here are the session objectives that I'm expecting all of us, the viewers, to go through, so that by the end of this session, we need to have at least acquired what I've indicated here. One is at least to appreciate the purpose of the advanced level music assessment guidelines that you are soon going through, and we are taking you through right now. Then become familiar with the assessment constructs, the objectives, and examination paper structure. Then lastly, also to recognize how the assessment guidelines inform the preparation of learners for the end of assessment. Now, all of us, we need to understand this, that the end of psych assessment in music will be administered by UNEB. And assessment will be guided by 4 assessment objectives, as they are indicated in the guidelines, and also drawn from the assessment of constructs. There will be 4 constructs. Then the assessment items will be set at the level of the construct, allowing learners to integrate knowledge, skills, and values drawn from the topics within a construct in order to address a societal challenge or problems. Now, the purpose of assessment at a level in the music is to assess the learner's creative and practical competencies in music performance, composition, and interpretation, and the ability and ability to integrate the musical knowledge and elements from diverse traditions and deliver contextualized ethical performances. Now, what we need to know here, the music assessment at advanced level integrates knowledge, practical skills, creativity, and professional competences. Not as the previously, that was much tested, they were assessing the knowledge, majorly knowledge. But this one is competence-based. We need to take into account of the integration of different skills so that a Ugandan child comes out when is well equipped with all knowledge and skills, not half-baked. Then, the assessment objectives in the music assessment is guided by 4 assessment objectives. The first objective is showcase artistic intent through accurate expression, music performance, enhanced by thoughtful visual and technological integration. Then objective 2 is to compose well-structured music that integrates melodic, harmonic, and stylistic elements from both Western and ethnic traditions or ethnic music. Then objective 3 is to apply music theory and contextual knowledge in integrating and documenting music for creative expression and effective communication. And objective 4 is to engage in a professional music practice by applying operational, legal, and ethical principles that support sustainability and visibility in the music industry. So the assessment guidelines in music are guided by these objectives. And these objectives also are being catered in order for constructs. Now, in music, we have a number of constructs, as you have heard from the previous presenters, majorly the manager, who defined very well and explained what a construct is. Now in the music, one of the constructs we have music performance. That is our first construct. Then this construct is all about the technical accuracy in the performances. We have expressive depths. As in performance, we have to bring out message in expressive, we have to bring out the messages. Then, creative visual and technological enhancements, where we expect the teachers, the stakeholders, and the directors really to make this one done by enhancing the music performance through acquisition of some devices that can really enable the students exhibit this. Under this construct, music performance, we have topics. These topics, they are numbered here, but they are picked from different classes. They are not in the order in the syllabus as they are, but these are the topics under music performance. And the music performance being the first construct doesn't mean it is the first in the syllabus. Please, teachers, you need to note this. Teach according to the syllabus and scheme according to the syllabus. Then topics here, we have topic 1, technical accuracy in the music performance. We have expressive skills in the music performance. Another topic, building stage presence for performance. creative approaches to music performance. Then topic number 5, under this music performance, we have improvisation and creative expression in music performance. Topic number 6, we have exhibition of integrated performance artwork. And this is majorly in senior 6. We shall have really see the students showcasing what they have been doing and exhibiting their talents and the work that have been working on. Then construct number 2 is music oral and composition. In this construct, there is a lot of composing cohesive music using melodic, harmonic, and stylistic integration, because this cuts across the Western music and ethnic music. But there is a component of oral skills, oral for listening. I think music teachers, you understand, this is our language. We are in our own country. Then under this, there are a number of topics. Topic number 1, we have melody composition. Good enough, you have been using the syllabus, you know what is embedded there and how to go more about it. And on the good note, we took you through the syllabus and the unpacking. Then topic number 2, we have melody creation and stylistic adaptation. Topic number 3, create harmonic lines using major chords. That's chord 1, 4, and 5. Because you know at a lower secondary, this kind of harmony, of composition was not there. So here we expect the major chords, not minor chords. Don't bring 6 chords, metronomic chords. Those one, please, major chords. This is at this level. Then topic number 4, this lyrics and melodic relationship. Then under this, still we have more topics, that's thematic song composition, presentation of composed musical artworks. Then lastly, we have presentation of composed musical artworks. Then construct 3, this is music analysis, where we interpret and analyze music using theoretical and historical stylistic understanding. And you remember previously we were having 4 papers, but now here, soon I'm taking you there. But in analysis, that's when we shall use the set work, which we already have. It's better you go through the syllabus so that you can get to understand which artworks, which set works to use, because the set works were reduced. Now there is hidden for analysis. And to your information, the set works that are in music analysis, please, they are for teaching and learning purpose, just for instruction, not for assessment. When it comes time for assessment, any music, either in Western style or African style or ethnic style or contemporary in any way, may be set, but these what are in the syllabus are for teaching and learning. So students will use the knowledge that they will have acquired to interpret and analyze the music. Under music analysis, we have Ugandan ethnic music characteristic and influence. Then music reading, writing, the staff notation. Please, we don't have sort of notation. Please, the staff notation. Then set work music analysis and listening. We have final drills in the music analysis and notation. Then the last construct is music industry practices. Here, that's where there is a lot of application as far as legal in the music is concerned, the ethical, the operation music industry, whatever, business music, and foreign copyright, such things. And in topics here we have legal and ethical music industry practices. Then the second topic in this construct is exploring careers and commercial successes. So, members, the structure of the assessment papers, we have only 3 papers. Paper 1 is, its title is Oral Harmony and Composition. Oral Harmony and Composition for 3 hours. And this paper takes that part of music, oral, and composition. Then the structure, there are 2 compulsory items where we have oral and harmony. Oral, that is listening, recorded music, listen, oral skills and other things, the melodies and other things. Then music composition. These items are compulsory items. Then the nature is scenario-based questions. Though the part of oral skills, the scenario may not be there as the nature of the music is. Then paper 2 is music analysis and industry practices. Also for 3 hours. It has 2 sections. Section A. And in section A we have music analysis, where a student will be required to answer 1 item. Section B, that's music industry practices. The student will be asked to answer 2 items. The nature is scenario-based and analytical responses. Example, set work referenced, we have Wedding March by Felix Mendelssohn and others, as will be seen in the detailed assessment guidelines of music that you are soon receiving. This was just sample, but the details are there. Please, you don't need to get worried. Then paper 3, the last paper, is music performance. This is a practical paper. It's 1 and 30 minutes hour, where some people may ask 1 and 30 minutes hour, is it enough? But this, in assessment, we assess individuals, not as a group. And the construct assessed here, it is specifically music performance. We have several items in the music performance. We have sight singing or sight playing. This one, it's 1 item. Then we have another item, and this is ethnic music performance, ethnic traditional. We'll have a variety, so that we are in Africa. Then Western music performance to balance. All these ones performance are involved by use of different props, costumes, to mention but a few, to make sure the music, the performance comes out very well. So, my fellow teachers, my fellow viewers, I've just got 1 of the sample items under music performance, which is sight singing or sight playing. And this one may not need a scenario, because the music is set, the learner is coming on stage to sing at sight. At sight. Now, that sight singing, that then sight playing, those 2, you will find the details in the assessment guidelines. I may not go into details, but kindly allow me to take you to at least the rubrics, the rubric for assessing this, for scoring this sight singing, where we have the output for sight singing or sight playing. It is either someone to sight sing or sight play, where the music is given. And according to the standards, we have only 4 levels. The highest being score 4, score 3, score 2, and score 1. As still, you will get the details. Here it's just an overview, and you will get everything in that assessment modalities. The assessment bases, what you base on to assess sight singing, we have 3, where there is pitch accuracy. That's the level of pitch, the lowest or highest of the pitch. Then we have music accuracy. Then lastly, the technical flow, the fluency of a learner when he's sight singing or when he's sight playing. If there are some music ornaments in sight playing, akiakatras, apojatras, and others ornaments, those ones, the modents, those ones are catered in the technical flow. Now, I will just take you few from these ones. We'll go into details, but let me just take you through the pitch accuracy only, at least, because of time. Someone to score a 4 in sight singing or sight playing, this person at least performs pitches accurately throughout the entire 8 bars, the 8 melody, the 8 piece given to play from the beginning up to the end. And when someone is to score 3, at least that student, if gets 5 bars to 7 out of 8, that person, that student, is qualifying to score 3, and 2 to 4 score 2, and 1 score or none, because this person may struggle and has been attending lessons and whatever has come, has done something. Please, members, these students are ours, so we need to cater for individual differences at different knowledge levels. So rhythm, it is the same there. Technical flow, also the same. This has been a sample. Please, it is a sample. Then you will get all other rubrics for other set items and for different papers. Thank you very much. As I conclude, we need to take this in mind, that the advanced level music assessment, please, is construct based. That's the level of assessment is at construct level. Then is scenario driven, integrates theory and practice, promotes creativity and professionalism, and also aligns with the Uganda's competence curriculum. Because you know this curriculum we are dealing with, we adapted it. It is not the new one. The new one will come soon when time comes. But we have to use the available materials, the available knowledge. We do not change. So with that, please, thank you very much, members. Hope to see you another time. Let us first have a short break. Thank you.
Welcome to the Nile English course, your guide to mastering English in a fun and practical way. Designed by the National Curriculum Development Center, the Nile English course helps you to build strong skills in reading and understanding, writing with clarity, speaking with confidence, listening carefully and critically, with exciting stories, engaging activities, and real-life examples. Learning English becomes interactive and meaningful. Whether you're in class or studying at home, the Nile English course supports your journey to becoming a confident communicator, because strong communication skills open doors in school and in life.
Okay, thank you very much, our viewers. If there are some concerns, please, for clarity, please, you are welcome. Because so soon we shall be accessing the assessment guidelines, then we see what to do. May I try? These are too small. Too small. I can come nearer. Okay, allow me, members. I want to go through this very well for those who are unable to attend the previous session. The full recording is now available for playback. Okay. So please, for music, yes, you will get all the recordings. You will be able to download them. Then can you send us the link, please? There, yes, you will go. You will find it on the NCDC website channel. Are you following the subject per subject for us students? Okay, this is a concern. But now teachers, you will be informing your friends when a certain subject comes. Please inform your friends to come so that other teachers can continue with the teaching. We join late, yes. The assessment guidelines, so soon you will get them so that you are able to understand each and everything. Then lastly, my fellow viewers, I have to take this to you, that please, when it comes time for lesson planning and scheming, scheme according to the syllabus. Scheme according to the syllabus and make sure the content is taught and the learners acquire the practical skills, the knowledge skills. Then we proceed. Thank you very much, my fellow viewers. I look forward to seeing you another time. Patiently wait, soon you will get the assessment modalities. Thank you very much.
Welcome to the Nile English course, your guide to mastering English in a fun and practical way. Designed by the National Curriculum Development Center, the Nile English course helps you to build strong skills in reading and understanding, writing with clarity, speaking with confidence, listening carefully and critically. With exciting stories, engaging activities, and real-life examples, learning English becomes interactive and meaningful. Whether you're in class or studying at home, the Nile English course supports your journey to becoming a confident communicator, because strong communication skills open doors in learning English in a fun and practical way. Designed by the National Curriculum Development Center, the Nile English course helps you to build strong skills in reading and understanding, writing with clarity, speaking with confidence, listening carefully and critically. With exciting stories, engaging activities, and real-life examples, learning English becomes interactive and meaningful. Whether you're in class or studying at home, the Nile English course supports your journey to becoming a confident communicator, because strong communication skills open doors in school and in life.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for your patience online, those on our call. Without wasting a lot of time, we shall receive a presentation from geography. The teachers of geography, I hope you have been patiently waiting. Kindly prepare all the questions you have coming out of this presentation. Over to you, Mr. Sabavuma, for your presentation.
Good afternoon, viewers. I've been introduced as Sabavuma. On the screen you can see that I'm Sabavuma Wilson, and I'm going to take you through the geography assessment guidelines, or the assessment of geography in a brief. By the end of this session, we should all be able to appreciate the mode of assessing learners in geography under the adapted A-level curriculum. That is the overall achievement one should get from this session. In the introduction, we are looking at why do we assess learners in geography. The assessment, which is summative, should focus on determining the ability of the learner to apply geographical knowledge, geographical skills, generic skills, geographical tools and techniques, to analyze and interpret spatial patterns, respond innovatively to environmental challenges, and design sustainable development strategies that promote effective resource use and improved livelihoods. You can see the emphasis on interpretation of spatial patterns because by and large geography is a spatial science. We are dealing with the space around us. How we use it, why we use it, the way we use it is all that forms what geography is. And again, we are looking at using geographic skills and tools. That's also very important in our assessment. Out there, some teachers of geography have intimated to us that skills geography was removed from the adapted curriculum. Reason being that skills do not form standalone topics. Notably, map reading and map use, statistics and data analysis and visualization, photo analysis and interpretation, field investigation, or what we call field work. All those skills, according to some of the teachers of geography, are absent in the curriculum for the subject. At this moment, we need to know and also understand that all those skills are represented and the curriculum is very rich in all. That's why in our assessment, we should emphasize determining how well the learner can use those skills and geographic tools to analyze the spatial patterns. So that will be the focus of geography. But most importantly, again, whereas the learner will be able to do those, that is analyzing spatial patterns, they should be able at the same time to design suitable plans and strategies that can be used to improve personal, societal, and national development. So that geography moves from the geography of knowing about the world to using knowledge about the world for meaningful development. On the screen you can see the geography constructs, the assessment objectives, and topics forming each construct. In the morning, the manager told us that, and even other presenters after the manager in this afternoon, have already informed us that all subjects shall be assessed at construct level, and so will geography. Geography as a subject has 4 constructs, and the first construct is geomorphic processes and their impacts. The second construct is weather and climate systems. The third construct is human-environment interaction. And the fourth construct is management of natural resources. Each of those constructs has an assessment objective. In other words, what will be the focus of assessing learners on each of those constructs? Assessing learners on geomorphic processes and their impacts will focus on finding out the ability of the learner to apply knowledge of geomorphic processes, use of geographical tools relevant to geomorphic processes, and also be able to address challenges that are related to geomorphic processes. Then for weather and climate systems, geography shall be determining the ability of the learner to devise innovative ways of responding to challenges resulting from extreme weather events, climate variability, and climate change by applying the knowledge of atmospheric processes and relevant geographic tools and techniques. For construct number 3, we shall be assessing the learner's ability to design effective plans for promoting development in a specific place or in specific places by way of analyzing the existing development patterns, population, settlement or settlement systems, production systems, and also the learner's ability to apply geographic tools and techniques to analyzing those aspects of human-environment interaction. Say, ability to use, for instance, statistics to analyze development levels, ability to use statistics to analyze settlement patterns, ability to use map reading and map use to analyze settlement patterns, population distribution, and variations in space. Those are what we call application of geographic skills. And then when it comes to the management of natural resources, which is construct 4, the assessment objective number 4 will be to determine the learner's ability to devise innovative, context-specific strategies for managing natural resources. And again, how well the learner can apply geographic tools and techniques to that process of devising innovative strategies for managing the resources. What does it mean? That when you look at all the assessment objectives and all constructs, the geographic skills cut across them. Meaning that unlike the old curriculum that was adapted to become this new curriculum for geography, skills are integrated in all topics and are integrated across all constructs. This means that we don't have the old arrangement where map reading was a reserve of paper 1, statistical analysis and visualization of data, a reserve of paper 2, and then fieldwork reserve of paper 3. This time around, all skills areas in geography cut across all topics and all constructs. And so, on the extreme right, we can see the topics that form each of the constructs. Construct number 1, geomorphic processes, comprises all the topics on geomorphic processes or landform evolution and the impact these landforms have on resource evolution and development and also on human activities and development. Those topics include the structure of the earth, the origin of continents and ocean basins, drainage and the role of rivers in shaping landscape, slope development, then lake and sea coasts. Those ones form construct number 1. Construct 2, weather and climate systems, comprises only one topic, that is climatology and meteorology, which is topic number 9 in the geography syllabus. Construct number 3 comprises world development, topic number 3 in the syllabus, agriculture and development, population and development, settlement and urban growth, and problems of food supply. That is human environment interaction. Then construct number 4 is made up of topic 5 on the syllabus, which is soil development and management, topic number 8, which is energy production, topic 14, which is utilization and conservation of natural resources. Those topics are numbered the way they appear in the syllabus. That's why you can see the distortions in order, but that's how they are in the syllabus. Each of them assumes the number and the position assigned to it. This means that when you look at those constructs, the 4 constructs, and then the topics therein, we can be able to tell the papers through which geography shall be assessed. But this one is coming in a short while. Then when you look at the constructs, if we say geomorphic processes as a construct, what does it involve? That will involve analyzing the earth. We expect the learner to be able to analyze the earth, geomorphic processes and their influence on human activities, and also to apply geographic tools and techniques to analyzing those processes. And that will enable the learner to be able to propose feasible ways or to suggest feasible ways of coping with, mitigating, and adapting to the effects of such processes. Take an example of slope development. One of the aspects of slope development is mass wasting. We expect in this curriculum a learner to be able to analyze the scene where mass wasting has occurred, and to use certain tools, whether it is interpretation of photographs, interpreting a map, survey map of the area that shows the morphology of the area, all the learner looking at related statistics to the impact of mass wasting in that area. And then after analyzing that process of slope development, using certain geographic techniques and tools, we want the learner to be able to propose feasible ways of coping with, mitigating, or adapting to the effects of mass wasting in the area where it occurs. Yet in the old curriculum, our emphasis was on knowing the types of mass wasting, their causes, and how they can be prevented, without looking at whether all people in areas experiencing mass wasting should be relocated or should be trained on how to cope with it, live with it, but at the same time reduce its impact on their livelihood. This time around, we are looking at that application and use of the knowledge. Then when it comes to weather and climate systems, we shall expect the learners to be involved in analyzing atmospheric processes and their effects on physical and human environments. And that can be done again by using a range of geographic tools, including satellite images, including photographs, including interpretation of schemas and diagrams, and then use that knowledge to predict short-term and long-term weather patterns for places at different scales. The aim of doing that is to enable these learners to be able to propose innovative ways of mitigating, adapting to the challenges resulting from extreme weather events, climate change, and climate variability. You can see that in those aspects, rather in those 2 constructs, geography will require the learners to apply at summative level, to apply the knowledge learned in practical situations, which is the essence of competence-based education. So we are no longer gathering geographical knowledge for the sake of knowing it, but we are gathering it for the purpose of using it in real-life situations. Construct number 3, human-environment interactions. We expect the learners to be involved in evaluating development, settlement, and production systems at different scales. And when we talk of scales in this context, we are talking about different administrative levels or different geographical units. The smallest scale can be at the level of a homestead. Then we go to the level of a village. Then you go to the level of a district for a county, for example. Then a district. Then the level of a country. The level of a region. Then the globe. Those are what we call scales at different scales. Because scale is one of the binding concepts that make geography. So when we talk of at different scales, we are saying the learner should be able to analyze geographical issues right from the home area up to the global level. So when it comes to management of natural resources, we expect the learners to be involved in designing context-specific and innovative strategies, meaning that the strategies have to be directed or fitted and situated within the context within which they are being designed for managing natural resources and promotion of environmental stewardship, while at the same time applying a range of geographic tools and techniques. This is what we are interested in when we talk of assessing geography learners at summative level. So the focus should change from accumulation of knowledge to practical use of the same. We now come to the number of papers or examination papers in geography. Geography will be assessed like other subjects using scenario-based. Excuse me. There will be scenario-based items like for other subjects, and those will be in two papers. Paper 1 will be physical geography, and that one will be addressing or assessing learners on constructs 1 and 2. That is, geomorphic processes and their impacts, then weather and climate systems. Those ones will form what we call physical geography. And there, the examination paper will be addressing assessment objectives 1 and 2. Then paper 2 will focus on human geography, and it will be assessing learners on constructs 3 and 4. That is to say, human-environment interaction and sustainable utilization, and management of natural resources, I beg your pardon, and management of natural resources. And that paper will be addressing assessment objectives 3 and 4. This means that whereas the topics are not arranged as they appear, rather the topics are arranged in a different chronological order in the syllabus, when it comes to assessment, they will be put together to match the concept of the construct that we have been emphasizing in competence-based learning. This does not, however, mean that teachers should teach geography according to papers. Teach the subject according to the curriculum as it is, rather than according to the papers. This means that if I'm teaching geomorphic processes, it doesn't mean that I'll get the topics 1, 2, 3, rather 1, 2, then you go to 7, then you go to 11, then you go to 13, and I form that construct. No. Follow the curriculum as it is. Learners will be assessed to display and exhibit their level of understanding and level of competence depending on how well you have taken them through the syllabus rather than through the constructs. Structure of the geography assessment papers. Each paper will be divided into 2 sections, with each section addressing specific assessment objectives. We have said paper 1 will have assessment objectives 1 and 2, but it will be divided into 2 sections, A and B, with section A being compulsory to all candidates and test takers, which will be assessing the learner's ability to apply geographic skills and tools for analyzing problems related to physical environments. Mark my words, I'm saying physical environments, not landforms like it has been in the old curriculum and old assessment. You were using map work to analyze map reading and photograph interpretation to analyze and interpret geomorphic processes and their effects. This time around we are saying all the physical environments. That will involve assessing learners' skills in using maps, topographic survey maps, photograph analysis, data analysis, interpretation of satellite images, and other related geographic skills that are relevant to interpretation of physical environments. Section B of paper 1 will contain 2 parts. Part 1 will be assessing learners' abilities to use their knowledge of geomorphic processes and their impacts, while part 2 will assess learners' ability to use knowledge and skills related to weather and climate systems. Those 2 parts will be done in such a way that a learner will be choosing a question from each of the 2. That is part 1 and part 2. Traditionally, teachers were specializing in sections of the subject. You find a teacher who doesn't teach climatology. When it comes to what has been traditionally known as section, is one who teaches vegetation and soils. This time around it has become quite integrated, and it is not easy for one to specialize in any of the subsections of the subject. Then paper 2, which is human geography, will have 2 sections, A and B. Section A will be compulsory and will be assessed the learner's ability to apply geographic tools and techniques, geographic skills, tools and techniques to analyze problems related to human environments. The same tools and techniques will be assessed as for paper 1. That is map use, photo analysis, field data analysis, what we call field work, statistical analysis and visualization, and then use of infographics. Each of those is well presented in the teaching syllabus for the subject. Then section B will consist of 2 parts. Part 1 will be human environment, will be assessing human environment interactions, while part B will be assessing management of natural resources. And a learner will be required to attempt 1 item from each of the parts, meaning that section A will be compulsory. In section B, the learner will be attempting 1 item from part 1 and 1 item from part 2. Like in paper 1, in total, the learner and the candidate for that matter will be answering 3 items in each of the geography assessment papers at summative level. One thing we should understand here is that without there are 3 items, the items are not necessarily 3. It is 1 item in section A and then 4 items in section B. Out of the 4, the learner will choose 2. Meaning that the 4 items are equally weighted, or they have equal demand on the learner and the candidate, and because of that, a candidate or a learner cannot answer 2 items from 1 section. If it is part 1, you answer 1 of the 2. Part 2, section B, 1 of the 2. That is a sample assessment item. That item, you'll get the details of it when you get the assessment guidelines, but it is from the use of management of natural resources. The management of natural resources, and that is construct 4. And if you remember what you have said a little while ago, we have said construct 4 will be assessed in paper 2, which is human geography. And that one shows an area with a riverine wetland where there is a river flowing through the area. There is a wetland on both sides, or the river traverses the wetland, but at the same time there is encroachment, there is settlement on the wetland at the fringes of an urban area. And it shows, the scenario tells you that the wetland is at risk of getting extinct, and it shows you how people depend on it, and then it tells the learner to assess the situation shown in the scenario, and then presented in the scenario, and propose a plan for sustainable utilization of resources, and at the same time promote development within the area. This time we are not asking them, what are the causes of wetland destruction? What are the effects of wetland destruction? We want them to analyze the situation about wetland destruction, and at the same time within it, it has the values, the environmental and socio-economic value of the wetlands. It is facing a danger of extinction. The task is propose a plan of how we can use that wetland without necessarily destroying the ecosystem. So, that is the nature of the items that we shall be expecting in geography. In the interest of time, we can't go over the whole scenario, but that's the structure, that's what it will look like. Now from there we go to scoring the learner's response. Like other subjects, geography will be assessed at the 4 levels of performance or achievement, and each of those levels will be calibrating the basis of evaluation or the basis of assessment. So for that item, what we expect the learner to give us as the expected response will be a written plan for sustainable utilization of resources in the area presented in the scenario. And then the basis of assessment are quite a number. If we go ahead and interpret, we shall see that it has a number of bases of assessment. But basis number 1, like the general structure that the manager presented in the morning, is about interpretation of the scenario and the task. And when you look at the way, the levels of scoring the learner's response, the 4 levels, the strongest and the best response scores 4, while the weakest response in that, on that basis of assessment, scores 1. And you can see that the quality of the response declines as we cascade down from 4 to level 1, or to score 1. At level 4, the person who scores 4 for that interpretation of the item, of the scenario and the task, shows comprehensive scientific understanding of wetlands, their nature and environmental functions. Clearly interprets the advisory task, because has been invited for a meeting. If you look at the scenario, has been invited for a meeting to present a plan that can be used advising the urban authority on how that wetland can be profitably utilized, but at the same time keep the nature of the environment. So it is an advisory role. So clearly interprets the advisory task and situates it within the context of urban development and community dependency. Because the community depends on the wetland for drawing water, getting fibers, and other values of the wetland. Then the learner provides clear and relevant ideas reflecting awareness of environmental and socio-economic dimensions. So in other words, he looks at the situation presented holistically. Then we look at the one who scores 3. Demonstrates general understanding. It's not comprehensive and it's not highly scientific. Demonstrates general understanding of wetlands. Refers to some of their environmental functions. The other one looks at all the environmental functions. But shows clear interpretation and understanding of the advisory task, situates it in a context of urban development and community dependence, but with minor omissions, meaning that has minor lapses in the details and in articulation. The one who scores 2 demonstrates partial understanding of wetlands and their environmental functions, but at the same time shows fair understanding of the task, situates the task of the introduction in the context of urban development, but has major omissions in the response. The other one at 3 has minor. This one has major omissions. Then the one who scores 1 demonstrates limited understanding of wetlands, limited understanding of the task. The information it provides is vague or it is partly correct, and it presents few or no relevant ideas, thereby making weak or no links to the scenario and the task provided. So you can see the quality declines as we cascade down the scale. That's what we mean by an analytic rubric, whereby you break down the learner's response into parts and award each part on its own merit. So those are the details. Then we go to the next basis of assessment will be generating and presentation of ideas. Then the third will be making informed judgment, like the manager presented in the general structure. Whether it is geography, or rather paper 1 geography or paper 2, all of them have to fit into that structure. But the scores will differ depending on the basis of assessment. Because it is the teacher and the examiner who will be constructing and developing the items, will equally be able to identify how demanding the item is and determine the various bases of assessment. This means that when you are developing your items and when you are interpreting them, first ask yourself the question, what key things shall I use to assess the quality of this candidate's work or this learner's work? Those key things you look out for are the ones you call the bases of assessment. So they will vary depending on the nature of the item, the parts that make up that item, and also the nature of the scenario presented to the learner. But overall, that is how we shall be assessing the learners in geography. Key messages as we come to the end of this presentation. Geography shall be assessed through 2 papers, each focusing on concrete constructs and assessment objectives. To remind you, paper 1 will focus on construct 1 and 2 and assessment objectives 1 and 2. Paper 2 on construct 3 and 4 and then assessment objectives 3 and 4. All the items shall be scenario based, meaning that whether it is skills based, say map reading and map use, statistical analysis and representation, all of them will be based on scenarios. They'll come in scenario form. Then assessment items for A-level shall be more complex than those for lower secondary. We are now used to the lower secondary setting, but in terms of demand and level of integration, geography items for A-level will be more complex. Test items shall require the learner to integrate learning. That is, in every item, as much as possible, we should make sure that the learner is required in the task that comes or that we present to integrate knowledge, geographic skills, that is subject-specific skills, generic skills, and then values and attitudes in order to attempt the item or to respond to the task. Then, responses to the scenario-based items shall be scored using assessment rubrics, not the traditional marking guides, where we make a notes and also predetermine the points to be given. When you look at our rubric here, we only have standards, but we don't have points. and then we determine the quality of the response based on those standards without specifying what knowledge the learner should present to us in the form of points so that we score them. Meaning that we respect learners' ideas and only find the merit they have in relation to the task without specifying our own ideas based on the notes that we have. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We are going for a short break, after which I'll be responding to any matters and questions that may arise from this presentation. Thank you very much.
MCDC Journal invites researchers, curriculum specialists, educators, and policymakers to submit scholarly papers for publishing. The journal provides a peer-reviewed platform for high-quality research and critical discourse in curriculum studies, education policy, pedagogy, assessment, innovation, and related fields. We welcome original research articles, policy analysis, case studies, theoretical and conceptual papers, evidence-based classroom innovations. Submissions should contribute to strengthening curriculum development and improving teaching and learning outcomes. All manuscripts undergo a rigorous peer review process to ensure academic quality and relevance. Be part of the conversation shaping Uganda's education landscape. Submit your manuscript and contribute to knowledge that informs policy, practice, and national development.
With me here, I have 3 questions so far. 1, do we have paper balance in physics, geography, and other subjects at A level? The answer is yes and no. Some subjects have balanced paper numbers, especially if they are at principal level. They have paper 1 and 2. Other subjects have 3 papers. Again, depending on their demand and depending on the skills and knowledge that learners acquire in those subjects. So, the number of papers is not balanced, but there is something in common to most of the subjects, that at least there is no principal subject with less than 2 papers, though some principal subjects have 3 papers, and this was presented by the manager in the first session. 2, do we have map skills and photograph interpretation? The answer is yes. If you have been attentive enough, you could have seen that in every assessment objective and in every construct, there are what we call geographic skills, tools and techniques. If we know the tools of a geographer, one of the tools of a geographer that the geographers use to analyze spatial patterns and spatial variations is a map. Because the map only tells us nothing but how the world space is organized. Where there are farms, where there are settlements, where there are roads, where there are forests. All that is geography, that is spatial organization. So we can't do any part of geography and any branch of geography without going into map skills, that is map use and map interpretation. So map use and photo interpretation is in every topic in geography, is in every construct in geography, and therefore is in both papers of geography. We shall find these skills being assessed interchangeably, actually not interchangeably, but will be alternating for the various years in the different papers. Meaning that you can't expect paper 1 to have map skills and at the same time you find them in paper 2. But you will find that map skills can be assessed in any of the topics and in any of the papers, depending on the nature of the topics making up that construct from which the item has been drawn. Then 3, why give a score to someone who completely gives irrelevant responses? Teachers, we need to understand that when we talk of integration, I've said that when we are assessing these learners, let's ensure that there is integration of learning. That is knowledge, skills, generic skills, values and attitudes. If the person has failed on geographical knowledge, it doesn't mean that that person has also failed on generic skills. Look at the quality of the organization of the work. Look at the quality of the communication of the ideas. Look at the quality of the interpretation, that is problem solving. Interpretation means you are navigating the problem. You are trying to surround the problem so that you can be able to understand its nature. When you understand its nature, then you can generate alternative solutions. Then you weigh the alternative solutions and come up with the most effective. Choose the most effective. That is the interpretation of the problem presented. If the learner has done that, has interpreted, whether the content area, content aspects given are correct or not, on the generic skill side, the learner has already scored. If the learner has presented the content, and you are looking at one of the bases of assessment as generation and presentation of ideas. Presentation, we are referring to communication. Are the ideas well sequenced? Do they make a sense to you? Can you therefore opine that the learner is off topic? If you can make a sense of it and you know that this is completely irrelevant, then you have understood it. What does it mean? That the learner has communicated effectively. Recognize that achievement because it is one of the competencies that we are promoting, and it's one of the generic skills that are in the curriculum. So let's not look at content, let's look at holistic learning when we are assessing these learners. Thank you very much once again.
MCDC Journal invites researchers, curriculum specialists, educators, and policymakers to submit scholarly papers for publishing. The journal provides a peer-reviewed platform for high-quality research and critical discourse in curriculum studies, education policy, pedagogy, assessment, innovation, and related fields. We welcome original research articles, policy analysis, case studies, theoretical and conceptual papers, evidence-based classroom innovations. Submissions should contribute to strengthening curriculum development and improving teaching and learning outcomes. All manuscripts undergo a rigorous peer review process to ensure academic quality and relevance. Be part of the conversation shaping Uganda's education landscape. Submit your manuscript and contribute to knowledge that informs policy, practice, and national development. Behind every curriculum-related document lies the expertise of our print and production unit. The unit operates a state-of-the-art printing press capable of delivering high-quality printing and publishing services. By producing materials in-house, NCDC reduces costs and strengthens institutional sustainability while ensuring timely availability of curriculum resources. We print all curriculum-related materials, including textbooks, readers, and teachers' guides, supporting effective implementation across the education sector. Beyond curriculum materials, the unit also provides commercial printing services to the public, guaranteeing high quality.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Grace Nanduto, and I am in charge of clothing and textiles. I'm going to take you through the guidelines for assessing clothing and textiles. Our session objective is, I pray that by the end of this session, you will be able to appreciate the nature of test items used to assess learner achievements in the adapted A-level clothing and textiles. Our clothing and textile assessment focuses on the learner's ability to apply knowledge and skills of textile science and contemporary fashion trends to design and construct quality, durable, appealing, and functional garments, as well as soft furnishings that meet customer needs and expectations. For you who are teaching clothing and textiles, you know that we have the science part, which is textile science, but we also have the clothing technology part, where we have to do the production. And at the end of the day, we have to ensure that we assess both the science or the textile science and the production. Here is the linkage between the constructs, the assessment objectives, and their related topics. In clothing and textiles, we have 3 constructs, and these are development of textile industry, quality assurance, and marketing. And the assessment objective for this construct is for the learners or the candidates to be able to analyze the structure and development of the textile, clothing, and fashion industry, apply quality assurance principles, and develop marketing strategies to produce competitive and sustainable textile products. Now, as we come up with our textile products, it is very important to know what is happening in the global world. But it is also very important to be sensitive about the quality of the work that we are producing. So we don't just produce, but we also have to be very mindful of quality. In the world today, we have a lot of mass production, but there's so little emphasis that is given to quality. And so as we teach and assess our learners, it is very important that we are mindful of quality. And then we have 2 topics that relate to this, or that correspond to this. We have topic 8 and topic 9. And topic 8 is the development of textile, clothing, and fashion industry. And then we have marketing quality products. Then our second construct is appreciate textile science and design foundations. These are the foundational topics. And this construct addresses the textile science topics. And in this, we want the learners to apply the knowledge of textile materials, fabric formation processes, and design principles to analyze, evaluate, and develop sustainable and culturally responsive textile products. And we have 2 topics again under this, and these are fiber to yarn, and we also have fabric construction and decoration. You have to know that this decoration is in relation to fabrics, not to garments. So in this we are decorating, or we are assessing the decoration of the fabric and not the decoration of the garments. The third construct is construction of garments and soft furnishings. This is where we have our production work. And our assessment objective here is for the candidates to apply pattern making and sewing techniques to construct garments and soft furnishings that meet special constructional, aesthetic, and quality requirements. Like I mentioned, that we are not just teaching the construction of garments, and therefore, even in the assessment, we are not just looking at the construction, but we are also putting emphasis on how is the construction done. How have the learners developed, how have they constructed their items? Does it bring out quality? Does it bring out beauty? Does it bring out those key issues that, that are needed in the world of work out there? We know we have very many people out there doing garment construction, but the quality, like I mentioned, and I'll say it again, is wanting. And that's the reason why, as we teach, we should also emphasize that in assessment, we look at quality. And the topics under this, we have the basic sewing processes, we have the pattern making, garment construction. This is divided into two because it's a very big one. And then we have soft furnishings. Here is our description of each construct. Our first construct, which is development of textiles, industry and quality assurance and marketing. This is we're aiming at helping the learner to understand the evolution, structure, sustainability practices, and marketing dynamics of the textile, clothing, and fashion industry to support production of competitive, high-quality products. At the end of the day, we would need competitive, high-quality products. So the learners need to understand this. Where are we coming from, and where are we going? We're looking at the evolution, but we're also looking at what are the dynamics in the market or in the world of work, in the fashion industry, what is happening there. And then appreciation or appreciate textile science and design foundation, that is our construct 2. In this, we are focusing on application and integration of textile science, fabric formation processes, and design principles in the production of sustainable, culturally responsive textile products that reflect contemporary fashion trends, heritage, and diversity. And then our third construct, we are aiming at helping our learners to apply pattern making. This is production. So they have to know how to construct or to develop the patterns, and then to use the different techniques in sewing, in the construction of garments and soft furnishings that meet functional and aesthetic requirements. Aesthetic, that is beauty. We are making the garments. Are we mindful of beauty? Are we mindful of the different functions and all that? Now, this is the structure of our assessment papers. There will be 3 assessment papers for clothing and textiles at advanced secondary curriculum. A candidate shall be required to sit for paper 1, which is the theory paper, and then paper 2, which will be the timed practical paper, and the paper 3 will be in form of a project that will be done at school over a period of time. And of course, the items shall be submitted to UNEP for assessment, for scoring by the scorers. They will not be assessed from school. Paper 1 shall consist of 2 sections, that is A and B, and will be completed within 3 hours. But of course, the items will be pre-tested. So this time may change. All the items will be scenario-based. Section A will contain 1 compulsory item derived from construct 1. And section B will consist of 2 items derived from construct 2, from which candidates will be required to attempt 1 item. Paper 2 will assess a candidate's practical performance skills. It will consist of 2 scenario-based items derived from construct 3, from which candidates will be required to attempt any one of this, and it will be completed within 7 hours. These 7 hours are done in phases. So we have phase 1, which will take 2 hours, and that is the planning phase. And then, of course, we have the production phase, which is phase 2, and this will take 5 hours. We'll have 2 hours for preparation before the actual practicum, and then we have 3 hours for the construction work. Paper 3, like I've said, is project work. And this will, the project work for learners will hope to demonstrate, where learners will demonstrate a variety of skills, practical performance skills. Yes, I know we have the practical paper, which is paper 2. But in the practical paper, the learners are only presenting, in most cases, like half a dress. Let me say, maybe a blouse or a skirt or a pair of shorts. It is something very small where the candidates cannot demonstrate a variety of skills. But the project will enable learners to demonstrate many skills, to showcase what they have really done over the period of 2 years. So it will consist of 3 items or 3 articles that include a garment that will fit the learner, a child's dress, and a household article, maybe like a curtain or a set of curtains or table linen or bed sheets, any household article. The articles will be done over a period of time, starting from Senior 5, Term 3, up to Senior 6, Term 2. And this will be submitted to UNEP for scoring. Here I have a sample item, and it is coming from paper 1, section A. Your community has seen a growing shift in fashion trends and adoption of non-biodegradable fabrics. The trends threaten the survival of traditional attire and indigenous fabrics. To address this concern, your cultural institution, together with the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, has organized a fashion event with the theme Threads of Heritage, from roots to runway, aimed at reviving or promoting and sustaining your community's textile cultural richness. We know that we have so many fabrics on the market, and in reality, our original or indigenous fabrics are almost getting extinct. We have a very rich fabric in Uganda, for example, that is back cloth. And so many beautiful things can be gotten out of it, but you can hardly see it on the market. So our task is make suggestions to the cultural institution and the ministry on how the current fashion and textile culture shifts threaten the community's cultural heritage, and propose strategies through which the ministry can achieve the objective of the theme. I'm not going to go through the entire scoring rubric, but I'm just going to mention a few things. We have the basis of assessment, and the first one is understanding of the task. Does the candidate understand the task? They should be able to provide a brief overview of the task with respect to the scenario. And they should be able to generate and present ideas that explain how the threats affect the survival of traditional attires and indigenous fabrics. And of course, they should be able to come up with they should be able to come up with strategies. How can we ensure that our traditional attires and indigenous fabrics survive, or we bring them back on the market? And our assessment rubric, of course, it goes on up to, that is the strategies, and then the presentation of the ideas. Is it coherent? Are they coherently presented? And of course, the conclusion. When we look at this, our scoring rubric, we look at the highest score as 4 and the lowest as 1. And I'm sure you have been hearing the previous presenters mentioning this. Like, we cannot, I know many people ask, why don't we have a 0? You know, but someone has attempted to do this item, and probably they have done some bit of interpretation. Even if they haven't got it right, they shouldn't really be given a 0. So our lowest score for that matter is a 1. And here we want to see how the candidates demonstrate understanding of the task, like identifying all the key issues, and gives a brief overview of all the key issues in the shift of fashion trends, adoption of non-biodegradable fabric, which are so many on the market now, and then the trends that threaten the survival of traditional attires and indigenous fabrics. And if a candidate brings out that, they will score a 4. And then if a candidate demonstrates good understanding of this, but of course, there are certain things that may not come out clearly, then they'll score a 3. And then if they demonstrate basic understanding, they'll score a 2. And then demonstrate little or no understanding, they will score a 1. Because of time, I will not go through the entire scoring rubric, but I am sure we'll have an opportunity where we will share more about that. In conclusion, I want us to know that our assessment of clothing and textile will focus on 3 constructs. Following the 3 assessment objectives, it will be assessed through 3 papers, assessing the theory based on application to real life situations brought out using scenarios, assessing the practical applications which are also brought out through scenarios, and of course project work which is done over a period of time. Thank you very much.
Behind every curriculum-related document lies the expertise of our print and production unit. The unit operates a state-of-the-art printing press capable of delivering high-quality printing and publishing services. By producing materials in-house, NCDC reduces costs and strengthens institutional sustainability while ensuring timely availability of curriculum resources. We print all curriculum-related materials, including textbooks, readers, and teachers' guides, supporting effective implementation across the education sector. Beyond curriculum materials, the unit also provides commercial printing services to the public, guaranteeing high quality, quick turnaround, and competitive pricing. Our services include posters and banners, flyers and brochures, branded letterheads, stickers and labels, and much more. With precision, efficiency, and professionalism, the print and the production unit brings ideas to life in print.
Okay, thank you so much for listening. And like I said, that we will have more time to learn more and give more examples as far as assessment of clothing and textiles at advanced secondary curriculum is concerned. all the best to the teachers and our candidates. Thank you very much.
NCDC invites researchers, educators, policymakers, and development partners to participate in the preparation of the second International Conference on Curriculum Development, scheduled for August 2026. The international conference will bring together thought leaders from across the globe to share research, innovations, and best practices in the curriculum design, implementation assessment, digital transformation, and inclusive education. All abstracts and full papers will undergo a peer review process to ensure academic rigor and relevance. Support preparations for a conference that inspires innovation and drives educational transformation.
Okay, good afternoon, viewers. You're welcome to today's last presentation. By the name's Erina Balunji, and I'll be presenting to you assessment of general paper. General paper is a compulsory subject at A level, and I'm sure every teacher has been waiting to hear how general paper is going to be assessed. I'll start with why assess general paper. The focus here is to check the learner's ability to comprehend and communicate effectively by applying critical, analytical, and innovative thinking in addressing contextualized issues in the community and society at large. We all know that learners in general paper are engaged in a number of topics, but the focus is to be able to solve societal problems and be able to communicate effectively. So general paper, in that regard, has two constructs. The first construct is effective communication and application of language in context. And that is where we are looking at communicating ideas to the diverse audiences, using appropriate media, language, and style, and applying understanding of language forms, local policies, and literature to produce contextually relevant works. When these learners complete Senior 6, it is expected that they should be able to actually communicate to the audience appropriately, no matter what they are exposed to. And in general paper, that's why we have different topics that they engage in, such that they are able to do this. The second construct is application of critical analysis and innovation to address community issues. And here, the focus is on identifying community challenges, critically analyzing and interpreting diverse information sources, and proposing creative evidence-based solutions that promote practical change. Previously, I remember we used to have logic among some of the topics, but also where learners are presented with different texts. So we are saying, can this learner be able to critically analyze and interpret information that is presented to them? And can they therefore at the end propose a solution to whatever has been presented to them? That is in construct 2. These constructs will be guided with assessment objectives. We therefore have 2 assessment objectives. Assessment objective 1, which is aligned to construct 1, is to check the learner's ability to communicate effectively to varied audiences and apply appropriate language forms and literary techniques in producing meaningful, engaging, and culturally relevant content. Assessment objective 2 is to check learners' ability to conduct independent investigations analyze and interpret diverse forms of data, and use it to support decision making, synthesize information into logical conclusions, present coherent, well-structured arguments, and propose innovative and practical solutions to real-world problems. When we dive back into the syllabus, these are the topics that are aligned to the constructs. Construct 1 has 2 topics. Topic 1, which is on communication, then topic 2, which is on language and literature. Then construct 2 will take on topics 3, 4, and 5. That is extended essay writing, which is topic 3, data collection and analysis, that is topic 4, then the individual project, which is topic 5. And maybe to go back, it is expected that at the moment, the senior 6 are at topic 5, which is the individual project. And teachers, you all know that the whole of senior 6, this is what the learners are going to be engaged in. Later on, you will hear how this is going to be assessed. The examination structure. The structure of the exam in general paper is as follows. We are going to have one examination paper. This paper will have 2 sections, each addressing an assessment objective. Section A will address construct, will have an item picked from construct 1, addressing assessment objective 1. This item is compulsory, so all learners are expected to do item 1 in section A. Then section B will have 2 optional items coming from construct 2, addressing assessment objective 2. These items are optional, so the learner is expected to choose only one. At the end of it all, the learner will do only 2 items in the general paper assessment. And the items, just like all subjects and just like the manager emphasized in the morning, should be scenario based. General paper will therefore take 2 hours and 40 minutes. This is a sample assessment item picked from section A. I'll run through it very fast. This is the scenario. As border riders ride through the busy streets of town, taxi conductors shout and drivers hoot. The leaders in parliament are busy discussing the new budget. Many of the riders, drivers, and residents cannot fully understand what is being explained because it is in English. But they wait eagerly to learn about the prices of fuel, salt, soap, cooking oil, and flour, and how services in their area will improve. In the days after the reading of the budget, a common question is heard across the community. Should English remain the only language used when conducting meetings? Who is being listened to? Who is being understood? Who should benefit from the budget? Are we including everyone or leaving some people out? That is a scenario, accompanied by that support. And the task here to the learners is, your school has been invited to the community radio station to debate on the common question raised by the community in the scenario. Formulate compelling arguments, either for or against the common question, with concrete examples drawn from schools, local communities, and workplaces. So it's expected that learners, on reading this scenario and the task, should come up with an argumentative essay, because there's a debate going to take place at that radio station. This is the rubric. Sorry, it's a bit small, but just like all other subjects, the basis of evaluation is looking at the interpretation of the task, generating and presenting ideas, then having an informed judgment or conclusion at the end of it all. And we are also looking at 4 levels. We are describing the learner's achievement across 4 levels. That's why we have score 1 to score 4. Now, when you look at the basis of evaluation, you will see that we are trying to customize it to the item. And the descriptions are trying to spread the learner to check who is at level 1, who is at level 2, who is at level 3, and who is at level 4. And looking at the first basis, looking at the product that the learner has given, the essay that the learner, the arguments that the learner has presented, we want to see clearly whether the learner has come up with an outline of an argumentative essay. And at score 4, we are saying one who presents a clear and complete outline of an argumentative essay with an overview that directly addresses whether English should remain the only language used in meetings. At level 3, the learner still presents an outline, but you find that some parts may lack detail. And then at score 2, presents a basic outline with an overview that partly relates to the issue. And then at score 1, this one presents an unclear or incomplete outline with an overview that does not clearly relate to the issue. So this description goes on when it comes to generating ideas. That's where we are looking at the language used in there, and then later until the conclusion. And you will find this in the guidelines plus very many other items that make a complete paper, and their rubrics will be clearly indicated in there. In general paper, like I said at the start, it is expected that learners are doing an individual project at the moment. We have continuous assessment in general paper, and it's in the form of that individual project. Each learner will carry out an individual project on a societal challenge. They are expected to generate a portfolio and write an extended essay of 3,000 to 4,000 words about the project. And here, we know that these learners should be guided by you, the teacher. So in the portfolio, they are recording the step-by-step things that they are doing and what they are coming up with, which later will be concluded by writing an extended essay. Supervision of progress of the individual project will be handled by the teacher in charge and overseen by the continuous assessment unit of UNEB. The project process will be continuously assessed by the teacher, and the scores from this process will be handed in to UNEB through the school portals. So as you supervise these learners, as they go step by step, you need to keep a record of what they are doing. And later on, actually, we shall be guided by UNEB, because the continuous assessment unit will be following up on this and even coming to schools to supervise what you're doing. So the scores you generate in that process, you're expected to hand them in to UNEB through the school portals. Then the extended essays written by the learners at the end of the whole project process will be submitted to UNEB for scoring. So here we are looking at the process and also the product. Process is scored by the teacher. You are on ground, you're with these learners. The product they come up with, we are handing it in to UNEB, and it will be scored by UNEB. Scores from the project process and those from the extended essay will each contribute 10% to make a total contribution of 20% to the final grade of the learners in general paper. I will repeat this one. Scores from the project process and those from the extended essay will each contribute 10% to make a total contribution of 20% to the final grade of the learners in general paper. Now, key takeaways here. This is my last slide. General paper has one examination paper. It has 2 sections. Section A has 1 item which is compulsory. Section B has 2 items that are optional. In total, the learner will do 2. Then general paper has continuous assessment in the form of individual project and extended essay about the project. The continuous assessment will contribute 20% to the final grading of the learner at the end of the cycle. And I told you the project process, scores from project process, then scores from the extended essay will each contribute 10%. That makes the total of 20. Then lastly, scores from the individual project process will be sent to UNEP through the portals, and then the extended essay, the booklet itself, will be handed in to UNEP for scoring. That is the presentation on general paper. I want to thank you very much for listening to me and for patiently waiting to hear from me. We shall have a break, and when we return from the break, I'll be responding to the questions and inquiries about this presentation. Thank you very much for listening to me.
The Curriculum Tree magazine shares curriculum reforms, research insights, innovations, and implementation updates across the education sector. Just like a tree with strong roots and growing branches, our curriculum reflects Uganda's values, learning areas, and the competencies we nurture in every learner. Through the Curriculum Tree magazine, teachers, school leaders, policymakers, and partners stay informed, engaged, and connected to the national curriculum development. We invite you to read, contribute, and grow with us.
Welcome back. Like I said, I'm going to be responding to some of the questions that have been posted. I'll start with the ones that I have on this piece of paper. And one says, will GP be marked out of 100? Now, general paper, like I said, we have those 2 items. And you'll find that the scoring, just like we've labored to explain how the scoring is going to be done, I cannot say that it's 100%, but, and it's not a must that it has to be 100%, but this will all depend on the item and breadth of the item and the descriptions that we've given according to the scoring rubric. And manager labored in the morning to explain how the scoring is going to be done. So it is just going to be just like other subjects. Question 2. Has the logic part been scrapped off the syllabus? The answer is no. When you look at the syllabus of general paper, unless if someone is referring to the old, you'll find that the topics in there are clearly stated. And when it comes to the area of interpreting, that is construct 2, you will find aspects to do with logic, because learners are presented with data and they have to interpret it and be able to make conclusions. Question 3. Is GP now a principal? Now members, no, GP is not a principal subject. And like manager said earlier on, we've worked within the old curriculum to align it to competency-based. And there are a number of things that have not changed. Therefore, the bit of GP becoming principal has not come up. It is still a subsidiary subject. For what happens to the activity of integration scores in general paper? Members, when it comes to the activities of integration being done at the end of the topic, these are going to be used to communicate, to give feedback to the learners, to give feedback to the parents on how the learners are performing. I will repeat again, when it comes to the assessment and end of cycle assessment, in general paper we have that examination paper, which is one, and then the continuous assessment from the individual project done by the learner. Is there any other? Okay, those are the questions that I've received so far, and I would like to thank you very much for listening to me. And I promise that in the guidelines, you will be able to receive more guidance on how to assess general paper. But also I want to urge teachers, please, we have a syllabus, make sure you follow the syllabus. When it comes to that individual project that learners are expected to be doing now, in the syllabus on page 10, we have the topics which you used to previously teach one at a time. These are topics that we say are areas from which the individual project will be focused. So please look at page 10 of the syllabus. You will be guided when it comes to the individual project that learners should be doing now. In the syllabus, the learning outcomes are clear. And at the end of the syllabus book, when it comes to page, just after the syllabus elaboration on page 21 of the individual project, the next page, which is page 22, talks about what the extended essay should comprise of. So please let us read the syllabus document. We shall be guided on how to help the learners go through Senior 6, and we make sure we upload the scores, and we shall be guided further by UNEB. Thank you very much for listening to me. Have a good evening. And at this point, I would like to welcome the manager secondary to have a few words with us to close today's sessions until we meet again on Monday. Thank you for listening to me.
NCDC invites researchers, educators, policymakers, and development partners to participate in the preparation of the second International Conference on Curriculum Development, scheduled for August 2026. The international conference will bring together thought leaders from across the globe to share research, innovations, and best practices in the curriculum design, implementation assessment, digital transformation, and inclusive education. All abstracts and full papers will undergo a peer review process to ensure academic rigor and relevance. Support preparations for a conference that inspires innovation and drives educational transformation.
Yes, thank you very much, all the presenters who have been with us today. And special thank you to our audience, our online audience in all the schools, those who have been following us up through your mobile phones. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, this program continues. We will be back next week on Monday. Mid-morning from 11 up to 1. We shall have economics, woodwork, technical drawing, and metalwork. And thereafter, in the afternoon, we shall have chemistry, CRE, IRE, art and design, and history. So kindly plan accordingly, and let us together take the education to to the next level. Thank you for being with us. Have a good evening and enjoy your weekend.
NCDC invites researchers, educators, policymakers, and development partners to participate in the preparation of the second International Conference on Curriculum Development, scheduled for August 2026. The international conference will bring together thought leaders from across the globe to share research, innovations, and best practices in the curriculum design, implementation assessment, digital transformation, and inclusive education. All abstracts and full papers will undergo a peer review process to ensure academic rigor and relevance. Support preparations for a conference that inspires innovation and drives educational transformation.